Hey everyone! Today, we're going to dive into something that's affecting more and more young people, but honestly, is still surrounded by a whole lot of confusion: panic disorder. We're going to break down what it is, where it comes from, and probably the most important part, how to find a path forward. So, let's get right into it.
Okay, imagine this. Your body has this built-in alarm system, right? Your fight or flight response. Now, what if that alarm just starts screaming at full volume, but there's no fire? There's no actual danger anywhere. That feeling, that sudden, totally overwhelming wave of fear that comes out of nowhere, that's the experience at the very heart of a panic attack.
So, that false alarm we're talking about, it has a name. Let's get a really clear definition of what panic disorder actually is. Now, there are two words here that are absolutely key: recurrent and unexpected. See, this isn't about a one-time scare. Panic disorder is a pattern. It's having these intense, sudden episodes of fear over and over, and they bring on these powerful physical and mental symptoms that just seem to pop up out of the blue.
And this is just so critical during the teenage years. I mean, think about it. Your brain and your social life are in this period of massive growth. Panic disorder can throw a huge wrench in all of that, messing with everything from how you're doing in school to your friendships and just your overall emotional development.
But you might be thinking, hang on, doesn't everyone feel anxious sometimes? And yeah, that's true. So a huge challenge is figuring out the difference between a full-blown panic attack and just everyday anxiety. Let's break down the specific symptoms so we can really tell them apart. First up, let's talk about what's going on inside your head. We are not talking about just being nervous here. This is a deep, profound sense of terror. It's a fear that you are completely losing control, or even that you might be dying. And, this is so important, it leaves behind this lingering dread, this constant worry that it's going to happen again.
And that mental terror, it's matched by a really intense physical reaction. Your body just goes into total crisis mode. It's so intense, in fact, that a lot of people are convinced they're having a heart attack. You know, the racing heart, feeling like you can't breathe, the dizziness. These feelings are so real, they feel genuinely life-threatening. And all of that creates this ripple effect in your behavior. Because the attacks are so terrifying, you start to change what you do to try and avoid having another one. You might stop going to places you now connect with an attack, like a crowded mall or, even school itself. It's what we call avoidance behavior.
So here's the bottom line. Normal anxiety, it's usually tied to something specific, like a big test, and you can generally handle it. Panic disorder is a whole different ballgame. The attacks are often completely unexpected. They feel totally disabling, and they just keep coming back.
Okay, so this all leads to the big question, right? Where does this even come from? Let's start unpacking the causes, and the best way to think about it is like a really complex puzzle with a bunch of different pieces that all lock together.
It is so important to get this. There is no single panic button that someone pushes. This disorder really grows out of a combination of what's going on inside a person and all the pressures they're facing from the world around them. So let's look at those internal pieces of the puzzle first. Genetics can definitely play a role. If anxiety runs in your family, you might be a bit more vulnerable. Then you can add in your own unique brain chemistry, maybe a tendency to interpret normal body feelings in the worst possible way, or maybe you just have a really high sensitivity to stress.
Now, let's layer on the external stuff. Intense pressure from school, conflict at home, or all kinds of social stress can be major triggers. And, in our world today, the constant connection from technology, the pressure from social media and how that messes with our sleep, all of that is becoming a huge contributor.
Okay, so we've got the symptoms and the causes. Now let's talk about the consequences. Because when panic disorder goes untreated, it creates this powerful ripple effect that goes way, way beyond just the individual.
And listen, this is not some small-scale issue. This statistic right here is a massive red flag pointing to a growing crisis. The fact that more and more young people are ending up in the ER for anxiety just shows you how incredibly severe and scary these physical symptoms feel, often mistaken for a serious medical emergency. For the person experiencing it, the long-term effects can be really severe. That constant fear and avoidance can easily lead to depression. It can also lead to something called agoraphobia, which is a fear of places or situations that might cause a panic attack. And tragically, some people might turn to substance use just to try and cope with their symptoms.
And that ripple effect we talked about, it doesn't stop there. The strain on families can be absolutely immense. And if you zoom out to a bigger picture, it contributes to higher dropout rates and it holds back the potential of smart, amazing young people. And that's a loss for everybody.
All right, we've talked a lot about the problem, but now it's time to focus on the solution. This section is all about hope and action. It's about the proven ways to get treatment and recover. This is where things really start to turn around. Let's start with this quote because it's so powerful. The science on this is crystal clear. The absolute gold standard for treating panic disorder in teens is a type of therapy called cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT.
So what on earth is CBT? Well, it's a super practical, skills-based approach. A therapist helps you pinpoint those worst-case scenario thoughts, helps you gradually face the situations you're afraid of, and teaches you techniques to calm your body down. But that second step, reinterpreting physical sensations, for so many people, that is the absolute game changer. It's learning that a racing heart is just a racing heart. It is not a heart attack. And that is how you start to take the power back from the panic.
But CBT isn't the only tool in the toolbox. The whole support system is just as important. Family therapy can be huge, helping parents figure out how to be supportive without accidentally being overprotective. Group therapy is an incredibly powerful way to realize you are not alone in this. And school counselors can offer crucial support right there in the building where a lot of the stress is happening. So what about getting ahead of the problem before it even starts? Well, prevention is absolutely key. And that means being proactive, teaching real coping skills in schools, promoting a healthy balance with technology, making it normal to have open conversations about mental health at home, and screening for these issues early before they get a chance to really take hold.
You know, when it comes right down to it, here's the essential truth. Professional treatment is like the engine of recovery, for sure, but it doesn't happen in a bubble. A strong network of people who get it and support you, your family, your friends, your teachers, that's the foundation for building real, lasting resilience.
And that leaves us with one final, really crucial question. Understanding panic disorder is the first step, right? But taking action is the next. So whether you're a parent, a friend, a teacher, or just part of the community, what's one thing you can do to help reduce that stigma and build an environment where it feels safe to ask for help? Let's all try to be part of the solution. Thanks so much for tuning in.